this project is not a good movie.
With the beginnings of a cast in place, armed with a few ideas, writer and director Brett William Mauser and producer Joey Veneers Jr. take a day to plot out the next Serial Rabbit movie. The only hurdle? They're gonna have to make the entire movie for under $2,500. Can they do it? It's a long shot. So Not So Sane is the home of non-woke films. Would you say Serial Rabbit 7 plays into that, or what does that mean? Why that?
Well, you know, I would be a lot less offensive if it weren't for people being offended. When I created Not So Sane, it was after Ponders Productions, and I took a hiatus from film. I'd given up on film. I was gonna get a real job. And when I came back, I just did a couple of little 48-hour, 72-hour film festivals, and I had to create a name. And I had done this series called Not So Sane Man's Guide to the Multiverse. So when I came back, I thought, oh, Not So Sane, let's make it Not So Sane. And it was just Brad and me. So I was like, okay, we're Not So Sane Men. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And then somebody, in all seriousness, had to say, well, why has it got to be Not So Sane Men? Why is it men?
Oh, well, because
it's two dudes.
Two guys. Yeah.
And I was just, and they got offended over this. And I'm like, okay, so I can't even say men when it's a man, when it's men. Fuck off. And I don't think enough people say that. We're so scared of being canceled or offending people or whatever. But if you're afraid of, offending these people, why do you want to hang out with these people to begin with? Because you're going to be on pins and needles every time you're around them? No. I don't want to be around that person. This project is not a good movie.
Right.
In terms of taking the time to give it structure. And if somebody's interested in really figuring that out, and yourself included, is, go buy a book like Save the Cat, or, while I talk a lot about the hero's journey, and that comes from Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, it can be drawn to film, but it's much more an intellectual exercise and really thinking and analyzing about history and theology and mythology. But it's good to know. It's good to know and understand that story structure. Early on, I discovered and learned about the hero's journey. And this was how you can look at any movie and see that it's the same damn movie every time. You have the inciting incident, something that happens that gets the plot rolling. Then you get introduced to the hero.
This step in the hero's journey is known as the ordinary world, the moment in the hero's life before he sets forth on his life-changing journey.
Then the hero gets the call to adventure. Hey, come on this adventure.
You want to come?
This is the call to adventure.
And then there's the refusal of the call. Well, no, I can't. I got to go to Tashi Station in the morning, blah, 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 blah. And then you have the supernatural aide, the wise old man that comes in and teaches the younger person.
He knows the rules. He'll be like our Sherpa in the Himalayas.
And then when they're forced in.
Come on.
You don't want to go. You're scared.
You're not scared.
I'm not scared. All right, I'll go.
Forced in.
And they have to go on the adventure whether they want to or not.
Point of no return.
And there's just these steps along the way. When I was making the Innocent Saga and several movies after that, I had an outline of every step of the hero's journey, and I would fill it in. This happens, this happens, this happens, and that's how that helped me write the script. There are other formats of that are more catered to filmmaking. In those are the 3-act story structure, where in the first act, which is about 25% of your script, you're going to introduce the genre, introduce the setting, introduce the characters, what their wants and desires are, and then the next 50% of the movie is Act 2, which is the heart of the story. All of the conflict, all of the issues, all the problems that pop up. And then the third act, which is about another 25%, is the wrap-up. Then you have the 11-step story structure, which is very similar and basically part of the 3-act story structure, but just delves down to other little bits here and there. Then you have Blake Snyder's Save the Cat, which just covers every step of the way. On page 25, this happens. On page 15, this happens. If you're doing a television series, Dan Harmon has the series structure, his Heroes Circle. Which basically, in the pilot episode, you're going from steps 1 through 4, and then they stay in steps 5 or something like that for the rest of the series, and then the finale, you finally get to the stage 6. So there are all these great learning tools, and there's great YouTube videos about that. Now, my recommendation is reading these books as guidelines. Because, I mean, if you take Save the Cat, he's got a beat page, it basically says, at this page, this happens. At this page, this happens. At this page, this happens. And I think it just really handcuffs you from a creative aspect. Now, if you're pitching something to Hollywood, then yeah, they're probably going to flip to page 25 and see if this happens and flip to page this. But I think it restricts you so much as a creative. What we're doing is trying to make a movie for nothing. $2,000, $1,000. And we're doing it quick, and we're just kind of, like I said, serial rabbit movies are always just stream of consciousness. What I'm doing today is the same thing I did for the heist movie. It's the same thing I do for Night Watch. The Innocent Saga, I've got poster board after poster board with Post-it notes on it. But this works really well for a serial rabbit movie because I just have things that I want to see, or beats, or I want to kill somebody this way, that way. Yeah. And I put it on a Post-it note, and then it's there so that I can just kind of put it in order. When I'm coming up with story ideas, I usually get one little morsel of something, whether it's something that I want to say in terms of politics or ethics or morals, or it's a scene, or it's a shot. When we did the movie Tag, originally, way back in 1997, I just had this idea of these two guys back to back, surrounded by a bunch of goons who wanted to kill them. And rather than get taken out by the goons, they spin around, aim the guns at each other, and fire. And that's all I had. And from there, I knew, okay, well, how do I get them there? How did they get there? What happened afterwards? And all this. And it all started with that little morsel. And then I would just drive around listening to music, thinking up scenes and lines and dialogue. Or I would see something on TV and go, oh, that was really cool, but I would have done it differently. Music is a big influence to me. That allows me to just get the creativity flowing. 90% of my films are written while I'm driving, thinking about it in my head. Just watch some YouTube videos to get ideas, the 10 bloodiest horror scenes, whatever. Watch that's cool, I want to do that. Or, oh, wait, if I do it this way, because I'm thinking, well, you want to have some dude's face get smashed in with a bat or whatever. It's like, well, how am I going to do that on a budget? I can't get the head or whatever. Then I'm thinking, well, After Effects and thinking, and then I start thinking, well, what if the guy's just got a bag on his head, or they put a pillowcase over his head and then they smash his head, and then we can shoot it so that it's got. So I'm thinking through logistics as well. Yeah. Since our production meeting, I've been writing these little things down. I'm driving along, thinking. I have a little notes app, in my phone that, and like when I was in Arizona, I was thinking things for the heist movie, and I'd write something down in the notes so that when I get back, I write it down on a note card and it's there.
Oh, I send myself text messages of notes.
So you don't forget?
Yeah.
Nice.
Prayers, business notes, websites.
That's good.
Yeah, that's even a better idea. I knew that's brilliant. I just had this idea of the grave site scene where she's swearing vengeance. So I'm just going to put Laura at grave swearing revenge. Now I've got that. So now if I come up with little ideas like, okay, she's brunette. But I put them little notes on that scene because this is sort of like, I think of it as a brainstorming scene card. So, and as we're talking and, oh, what if at that, remember we were talking about that? What if this happens? Oh, that's great. And I can put that on this card. So what we're basically going to do today is get a whole bunch of scenes that we want to do, ideas, so that we have the cards there and it's brainstorming. But I also do this over a long period of time. I'm just thinking, so that when I sit down and actually write the script, bam, it's done. Every scene in your film needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. You should look at it, every scene in your movie as its own little short film. At the end of every scene, there should be a reversal, something you didn't expect. And every scene should either push the plot forward or give you information about those characters. Once I've got it structured out and I know what scenes I'm gonna do, I go into the screenwriting program and I write interior club and I just write a quick description of the scene. And then I go down to interior car, quick description of the scene. And I'm talking just a sentence or two.
So you're just going by the scenes and then you're going to fill in the dialogue and what's happening in those areas afterwards.
Right, exactly. Cool. So I've just got all that so that I can sit down and when I'm ready to actually start writing the script, it's still kind of a stream of consciousness. I'm just, I'm playing out the scene in my head. I know what scene I have to concentrate on. And I just, what are these two characters? What's the starting point? What's the end point? And what are these characters going to be talking about? What is the main point of this scene? And I just, write that down. And then I'm on to the next scene. And then I had like one or two scenes that I didn't get to and I went to bed and then and then the next day, the Sunday, then I started writing again. And I finished those two scenes and then I started up at the top. Started just read through it again. Here's a prime example. I'm just going to start going through here and seeing what can I trim? What can I remove? Does it work? So I'm playing it out in my head. Casey, a professional dressed blonde, is live streaming. The warehouse is dark and gloomy. Hello, all you girl bosses out there. This is Casey Sunshine. We'll change the name.
Yeah.
The boss of all bosses. I don't like that.
Baddest bitch. Oh, baddest bitch is used a lot too.
The HBIC. The HBIC, head bitch in charge. A lot of stuff in Serial Rabbits. You look at it and you read and you moan and groan at some of these lines. But if you imagine the way that these people are going to say it, if you can imagine Casey in there saying,
hello, all you girl bosses out there. This is Casey Sunshine, the HBIC. Head bitch in charge.
And I can just see her playing that.
I can see her doing it like that.
Yeah. And as I was reading it, I was able to look at these long paragraphs where I'd written, and I was like, well, they're saying the same damn thing 3 times in that sentence. How can I cut this? What really needs to be said? And I start trimming that dialogue down and saying, okay, well, this sentence is unnecessary. That sentence is unnecessary. And I'm just trying to make it as short as possible. Show, don't tell. If you can show something instead of telling it or having your characters explain it, it's more interesting, it's more enjoyable. One of the examples that I use in my class is one of the character introduction scenes in Serial Rabbit 5 between Dane and Donnell's character. There's not a line of dialogue spoken in that scene, but we learn almost everything we need to know about these characters. They're driving along, Dane's character picks a revolver off the dashboard, aims it at Donnell playfully. Then he takes the gun away, throws it in the back, and we see a duffel bag full of cocaine in the back. Then she crawls on top of him, and they start making out, and the car's is moving back and forth. And I showed that scene to one of my classes, and I said, okay, what do you know about these characters now? And one of the students said, well, she's going to get him killed. And we learn about, we learn that they're into some bad stuff because of the cocaine, the gun. She's very playful. We've built the character dynamic, and we didn't say, those characters didn't say a single word. And look at what you've learned about them. That's show, don't tell. Delivering exposition, delivering details about the plot, about the characters, about the story, without having to have the characters explain them. What we're doing here with Serial Rabbit should not be taken as gospel or as a lesson in screenwriting, just in a lesson in how to stop procrastinating, how to just go ahead and do it. Because I feel like once you sit down and you start actually writing it, then, at least for me, then it just flows.
You want to get it out, yeah.
But it takes me so long to actually sit down at the damn computer and do it. Procrastination can be good sometimes because when I was writing a script recently, I was having such a hard time sitting down at the computer and actually starting to write the script. But that time let the ideas simmer and let me think about them a little bit more and help me grow the script and come up with more ideas.
The cons are it never gets done. It doesn't ever get created. The pros are, even though I was procrastinating and haven't made my film, I always kept working on my costume. I always kept doing stuff.
Like if you look at my cards here, you can see there's like 5 or 6 on some of them. Yep. Now I want them all on one card though. I just did that because I'd be brushing my teeth and I'd be like, oh yeah. And I'd come in here, I don't want to forget that, because there are so many times that I'm drifting off to sleep and I think of this great line or this great scene or this great moment. And I'm like, okay, it's so good. I'll remember it in the morning. And the next day I'm like, what the hell was that moment? Whoa, oh my God, what was that line? Yeah.
If I tell somebody the thing, I'll remember it. But if I don't, unless I write it down. But if I have crazy dreams, and if I don't tell anybody the dream I had, pretty much right after I wake up, it'll be gone. I'm like, that was badass. That was so cool. But also same for ideas. If you don't write them down, they just fly away again. Yeah. So.
Well, and that's something I haven't done for a long time either. Is co-writing in a sense. Brad and I used to sit on the patio just brainstorming ideas, come up with stupid stuff or cool stuff or whatever. And I think when you're just kind of talking that over with 2 or 3 people, you come up with these great ideas, and you come over and you start writing stuff down. After that, then you're only remembering the really good stuff, and maybe it filtered the crappy stuff out. Yeah. Then again, maybe not. There are times on set where we shoot something and think it's just the funniest thing. We're all laughing, and we cut it, we edit it, we screen it at the movie theater, and crickets. Nobody laughs. It doesn't hit. So you never know. That's going to be one of those experience things, because sometimes you can do the exact same scene and it doesn't quite work the same way.
Next time, Brett and Joey get to work on the script for Serial Rabbit 7. But with all the ideas they've come up with, what will make the final cut? And just what exactly is a werecow? Find out in the next episode of Long Shot.